Welcome to the 2018 Aberdeen Standard Investments
Ladies
Scottish Open.
Here at the beautiful Gallon Golf Club.
Come and see us.
Rule the links.
We are ready.
Are you?
We certainly are, and we're underway in round 3 of one of the biggest events of the season. We're in Scotland on the southern shore of the Firth of Forth at Gallon Golf Club. A fortnight ago, this links layout was hosting the male version of Scotland's National Championship. Now it's welcoming the best from the ladies' game. And at halfway, it's very nicely poised. Solheim Cup star Caroline Masson enjoying her time back in Europe. Amy Yang hoping to celebrate her 29th birthday today in style. Arya Jitanagarn could go to number 1 in the world with a win this week. And all smiles for Tiffany Joe as she holed putt after putt in her bid for a breakthrough victory, following her standout 62 with a more than solid 67. And celebrating and relishing that 3-shot lead. Joe at 13 under. All the players, though, chasing the American from 7 under or better, ranked inside the world's top 50. And 3 of those could go to number 1 with a win. Very good afternoon. Welcome to round 3 of the Aberdeen Standard Investment Ladies Scottish Open, an event co-sanctioned between the LET and LPGA Tours. I'm Richard Kaufman. Alongside me again is Alison Whittaker. And Ali, I think it's fair to say the toughest of the 3 days so far.
I think Gallon Golf Club is getting its revenge. It was mad that someone shot 62 on Thursday, and it's come out today on Saturday with a little bit of a different colour. As you can see, 20 miles per hour and really gusting almost up to, say, 30, 35 miles per hour out there. There's been some rain already this morning, so the golf course may be even a little bit more receptive. But again, 3 different days, 3 different sets of conditions.
Well, the leaders, the final 3 ball went off at 12:45, so that's 2.25 hours ago, and there's been a lot of movement already from the play we've seen so far today. Starting with Sung Hyun Park, one of those that could go to number 1 in the world, but teeing off in some very blustery, wet conditions.
It has dried out a little bit since then, but this was tough. Rough way to start the day for Sung Hyun Park. Down the left-hand side on the first, there's only 3 trees over there. She had to take a drop, pitched up to here. So this for bogey ended up being a pretty good 5 in the end.
Yeah, pretty good. So Sung Hyun Park's followed that with all pars so far, 7 under. And of course, Carrie Webb came so close to winning last year. Looks pretty much out of the picture, but she's showing she relishes these kind of conditions.
Well, made a birdie on the first hole, the second hole, all pars until this on the 8th. Very tidy little tee shot on the par 3.
Yeah, day to wrap up. It's a little cooler, knocked it in for her birdie. She hasn't dropped a shot today either, so Webb moving up the leaderboard. Young lady from Taiwan, Pei Yun Chen, had an eventful start to her round. This was a delicious approach to the first, setting up for a birdie. Was it going to miss from there? But it's very windy in Taiwan, and so these players like Chen, very used to these kind of conditions. Made a birdie at the second as well, but she's had an up and down day, really. 3 birdies, 2 bogeys in the first 5 holes alone. Minjee Lee.
Minjee Lee, the look of a woman who was ready to go early on in her round today. Perfect tee shot up the first, and then this approach left a little bit of work left for the birdie putt. Pretty regulation, but this was anything but. Right to left, up the slope. Judged nicely. So an opening birdie for the Australian.
Yeah, and believe it or not, Minjee Lee is sharing the lead. This was her birdie at the second. She's just turned in 32. So she's going great guns at 10 under par. And believe it or not, she's tied with this lady right now, Amy Yang.
This is one of those days where Amy's tempo is going to come in very handy, and putts like that will help as well. That was for birdie on the second hole. Since then, she's had a bogey, a birdie, and another bogey on the 7th, but still pretty level pegging so far.
Yeah, 10 under leading the way right now. Tiffany Joe, of course, starting at 13 under, and, well, she started steady enough. This was for an opening birdie, but The putter that had been her best friend for a couple of days, not helping her out there. She had a long putt for eagle at the second.
From just off the green on the par 5, very reachable, and certainly a scoreable opportunity early on in the round, and that would set up just a little tap-in birdie.
However, she has been bleeding badly ever since then. Dropped a shot at 4, 5, 6, double bogeyed the 7th, and she's just bogeyed the 8th as well. 5 over par for the day through 8 holes. And right now, Tiffany Joe, good enough at 8 under par to be in 4th place on her own. A lot of change on the leaderboard since the leaders went out. Let's check it out. There we are, Minjee Lee and Amy Yang tied at the top at 10 under par. Era Jitanagan 1 over for the day, but still only 1 back. There is Tiffany Joe having a nightmare, really needs to dig in hard now. Haiji Kang has just birdied the 10th hole. She's at 7 under par. So Yeon Yu, 1 birdie, 1 bogey so far from her. And as you can see, Caroline Masson, another struggling. She's just had 3 bogeys in a row. So it's all been going on. The weather obviously taking its toll on some of these scorecards.
We've been used to seeing birdies. Today they're going to be a bit more of a struggle.
Of course, Era Jitanagan, Sung Kyun Park, So Yeon Yu, a win for either of those 3 players would see them usurp Inbee Park as the world #1. Seeing a little bit of teeth, a few white horses on the Firth of 4th this afternoon behind area there.
That was calm as anything the first 2 days.
Tiffany might be looking over her shoulders, wishing she could be out there surfing on those waves. She just needs to find a few pars now.
Just a slight dogleg left to right, the 9th hole, up over a little bit of a rise. And it's going to be playing almost directly back into the breeze. So on day 1, we had the wind out of the west, we had the wind out of the south yesterday, and guess what? It's the easterlies' turn out there at the moment.
You can see Amy Yang there in the red and white striped shirt, celebrating her 29th birthday today. And it's been a pretty good day so far. Level par for the round, and level par will keep you going. This was to stay there. This was at the 8th. Just dropped a shot at 7. Left to right swinging putt. It's a really good par save. And those are the kind of putts, Ali, aren't they? They're going to be vital today.
Well, I think, you know, we've been seeing so many birdie putts in the first 2 rounds. It will be those par saves that really come in handy, or, you know, even bogey saves at times. And that's Pei-Yun Chen, and the wind will definitely be affecting the golf ball out there on the greens at the moment, just with the way the greens are positioned, angling back towards the water.
Yeah, the men were here a couple of weeks ago. They never had conditions anything like this. Saturday was probably the hardest day for them as well, but the wind speeds certainly weren't like that. And of course, in the final round, it was pretty calm when Brandon Stone almost got the first 59 in European Tour history on his way to winning at 20 under par. Problems for one of our co-leaders. Minjee Lee found trouble off the tee down the right-hand side, so I understand this is to try and stay in a share of the lead at 10 under. And that's not dead yet. I mean, in all seriousness, 10 under leading now. Could 8 under be the leading score going into round 3?
It would not surprise me in the least. I think it's going to be a musical leaderboard today, Richard. I think we're going to have a work cut out for us trying to keep everyone updated, because it could just be a matter of minutes before it changes again.
Sung Kyun Park looking for a first birdie of the day. Of course, winner of the Women's PGA. Oh, look, you can hold putts. Had a terrible start, as you saw, with that drop at the first. So Yeon Yu missing out there.
Ko coach was out earlier this week. He went straight from the Open last week out here to do some short game work with So-Young, Cameron McCormick.
Yeah, you thought Jordan Spieth, his pupil, was going to be the favourite heading into the final round at Carnoustie last week, and of course So-Young Yu certainly among the favourites heading into the weekend here. Of course, both have been at world number one of their respective games.
Well, a good round today, and she might put herself in a decent position to attack that again tomorrow going into next week. Ricoh Women's British Open. It's not one of her strengths on the green. Really good ball striker, Pei Yun, but ranked 144th in the putting stats on the LPGA. Now this is incredible. Amy Yang with at least a hybrid still in hand. Girls were hitting flip wedges in here when the wind was round the other way. Links golf at its finest.
It's a completely different golf course, really is. The yardage says the same, but the wind, a completely different test.
And that's the one advantage, one of the trademarks of links golf, but also here at Gullen, is the openings to the greens. So if you do actually hit it in the rough, and I was talking to Tiffany Joe about this last night, you can actually get away with it a little bit because you can roll the ball up onto the green still. You don't need a high soft shot.
Just needs a solid hole. Tiffany Joe looking for that first LPGA Tour title, and such brilliance the first 2 days, 62, 67, but needs to get up and down to avoid another drop shot. Given the prodigious length she can hit it, no surprise she doesn't need a 3-wood or a rescue club in here area, but she doesn't look too pleased with that effort. It's heading left.
So we know area is very long off the tee, but just to give you an idea, that bunker, she was about 20 yards past that. That's 197 off the tee. And she usually averages up over, 250. It's straight back into the breeze.
She probably went with a 2-iron off the tee.
Yeah, I think she hit 3-wood, in fact.
Yeah, right.
But she averages 250 with her 3-wood. It's terrifying stuff.
You were saying about Pei Yun Chin to me earlier this week that her caddy feels that these kind of conditions, this kind of setup does suit her game.
Yeah, Andy did, and a very experienced caddy is on the bag for Pei Yun, and as we see, you've got to hit these so hard back into the breeze, these putts, but Kang made a good, decent effort of it.
Choppy waters on the Firth of Forth. It's a sunny afternoon, but it's cooler and it's a lot breezier for this third round of the Ladies Scottish Open, and as a result, it's all really concertinaed on the leaderboard, hasn't it? There is now 13 players separated by 5 shots, and when you bear in mind the overnight leader had a 3-shot lead, that is a change. As you can see, Tiffany Joe back at 8 under, area 9 under par, and Amy Yang 10 under par.
And when Tiff Joe was in the commentary box yesterday, she said that, she tries to emulate Amy's tempo in her own golf swing, and I think she'll be trying to tap into that while she's out there, just because she has a tendency to just get a little bit quick at transition, Tiff, and has quite a dynamic, a moving golf swing, if you will. So just trying to slow that down, not let the wind get under your collar too much is really key for her at the moment.
Eleventh tee right in the corner of the golf course, the cliff edge. Beautiful sight behind them, but all eyes on this par 5. She's played pretty much the easiest hole on the golf course this week, but no hole is easy in these conditions.
No, well, there's only 3 par 5s on the golf course, and all 3 of them are playing as the 3 easiest holes. So it really is important to take advantage and get those easy 2-putt birdies, or maybe even an eagle where possible. Maybe even a snack where possible, So-Yeon.
Such a strong field this week. 10 of the world's top 15 starting the week. Some big names have fallen by the wayside. The likes of Michelle Wee, missing her first cut of the year. Pernilla Lindberg, who of course won a major for the first time, won a LPGA Tour event for the first time. One of those who's not made the weekend. Tiffany's, we had her in the commentary box yesterday. You know her very well. Of course, you're sharing a house amongst a few others with her this week. She's a very good-natured and jovial character. I mean, 5 over for the day. I mean, just how do you think she's going to react to this kind of start?
Well, I think, to be honest with you, I think the heart rate might have gone up a little bit once she started making the bogeys. It is so hard when you have a golf swing that doesn't have kind of a clear stopping point at the top of the backswing. And Tiff, you know, Brittany Lincecum, another player that has that, Sarah Jane Smith, they've all got a very similar transition between back and follow through, and you can start to get a little quick under pressure in the wind. I think a couple of pars going her way would be ideal, but this really needs to get a wriggle on.
I mean, the amount of putts she was holding over the first 2 days, I mean, hundreds and hundreds of feet. Third round, it's just all slipping away a little bit right now for her.
An area seems to have pulled a decent lie here. I'm not sure I've seen something like that before, where the ball so obviously moved from left to right in the air from a chip. That genuinely almost looked like it faded then. It is so strong out there.
I don't know, there's a part of me that sitting in the comfort of the commentary box, kind of enjoying it. I mean, the players are enduring it, aren't they, really? But, you know, we want to see the ultimate champion this week. It's good to see them tested in all conditions. I'm not saying it was easy over the first 2 days. There was some wind around, but this is what they expect to see from Links Golf. Let's have a look again, see what you're talking about.
It really looked about there. See how it really started moving left to right.
Really affected by the wind, wasn't it?
That's unbelievable stuff. And whoever does end up in the final group tomorrow, you know, you can earn so much on day 1 and day 2, but this is the day to really dig your heels in.
Look at that one go past. Par is your friend right now.
Pei Yun Chen just like ball slightly above her feet. And we mentioned her caddy, Andy Didden, and this one's headed out to the left, and it's going to be quite an interesting approach given you can see the whole location there. But Andy Didden said she has the ability really to keep it low, to shape the ball from left to right and right to left, pretty much on demand. And he thought it would really set up nicely for her game. That one maybe a little bit of a miscue, but she's put herself into contention, currently in a tie for 8th place.
Yeah, I just wonder, Sarah Kemp started the day in 67th place. 80 players made the cut. Started the day in 67th place. She shot a 67 today. She's now inside the top 20 at 17th. I wonder where she'll be at the end of the day, the Australian just missed out on a win on the Ladies European Tour in Morocco, lost in a playoff for 67th, the best score of the day. We've had a few 68s as well. Jin Young Ko, who is the leading rookie on the LPGA Tour by a huge margin, has shot a 68 clubhouse lead right now at 4 under.
Certainly a player to watch. You can see how far left Minjee was aiming, and she's double-crossed this.
Yeah, by the way, we were given the information that she dropped a shot at 10, but apparently that putt we saw was for birdie, so obviously not as much trouble as we were informed, and so she is still at 10 under. This to avoid another drop for Tiffany, and I'm afraid it's another one gone. That's, I make it 7 shots dropped in 6 holes, and she's going to turn in 41 shots. Nightmare.
Yeah, an absolutely brutal start. Pretty regulation there for So-yeon. You know, you have to kind of catch yourself, I think, when you're in a position like Tiff Jo is now, because she's going to drop back most likely to 7 under par. But we're talking about 8 under, maybe still be leading at the end of the day come tomorrow. So just trying to stop the rot, it's important.
Well, it's been a brilliant season from Arya Jatanagarn. One of only 2 players to have won twice this season. The other one is up there as well in the shape of Sunghyun Park.
Playing 161 yards today, but probably closer to about 175 wind into off the right-hand side. And everything pushing the ball over. That way you can see just how much that flag is flapping. I think on some levels, you know, you don't want to go to a links destination and see it be 28 and sunny the entire weekend, do you? I think there is some form of, you know, sadistic satisfaction.
Well, this for Amy Yang to stay in a share of the lead. Yeah, brilliantly done. The other thing is, as well, of course, is you know, these players obviously they're here to win it, the Ladies Scottish Open, but it's also seen as a really good warm-up for next week at Lytham, the Women's British Open. But they don't want to be beaten up, do they, really?
Well, you want to see putts drop as well, and you want to hit good shots. That's what, you know, you try and do to prepare for a major. So there's merits doing it both ways, I guess. But when you look at, you know, the stats from last year, 8 of the top 10 at the Ricoh Women's British Open last year had played the week before at the Ladies Scottish. So either you learn something or, you know, you kind of take it as it comes.
Drop shot for Arya Jatanagarn, back to 8 under par she goes. 2 shots off the lead only, though, for the 22-year-old Thai. This is the par 5 11th. 3rd shots in for the players.
And players had about a 5 or a 6 iron in here in previous rounds.
Second shots.
Second shots, I should say. It was a bit of an eagle putt off in previous rounds.
Yeah, I mean, birdies, huge leaps up the leaderboard. Pars will keep you going up nicely as well.
Eleven eagles, 169 birdies on this hole so far throughout the week.
Most of those, though, days 1 and 2. And it's fair to say, I mean, some of the play on the LPGA Tour isn't the fastest anyway, but given these conditions, it's going to slow things down a little more, you would think. Players backing off, trying to judge the gusts.
That's nicely done, yeah, especially with this breeze, really. It's a little bit more of a cross breeze on most of the holes, and you can imagine that that would bring in the rough on either side, maybe a few more ball searches out there this afternoon as well.
Well, Tiffany Joe out in 41. 5 bogeys and a double in her last 6 holes. Now she's in that share of 4th place alongside Sung Hyun Park and So Yeon Yu. Rare birdie at 10 from Haiji Kang. That's the reason why she's also in that group at 7 under par. Eri Jatanagan, well, she started today 3 back. She's a couple over, and now she's only 2 back. It's that kind of day. It's Minji Lee and the birthday girl, Amy Yang, on top on a blustery day in Gullen. Leanne Pace there in a share of 10th place. 1 birdie, 1 bogey, but that's good going in these conditions. There, that was the wind again. Incredible strength.
It's tough on a scale of 1 to 10 in terms of wind and the way that the golf course is playing. I think this would have to be in the high 9s at the moment. The only thing saving them is maybe no wind, no rain, I should say, and it's not that cold, but aside from that.
No, it isn't that cold, as you can see. Even shorts here for Pei Yun Chen.
Seems as though she might have got lucky just landing on that walkway just out of that thick rough. Still moving. That was pretty good from there. I think we're all going to have to adjust our expectations of what a good shot is.
Now she's called for a referee here, Caroline Masson, because the wind's so strong, as we've seen, that the ball has been oscillating. I don't think it's going to be easy for us to hear the conversation with the referee. Here we are. The tournament director with Caroline Masson here. This is at the 10th hole. I think you see that's the first ball we've had move all day so far, at least. Anyway, let's go back to the tee. Amy Yang. Her rhythm doesn't change whatever the wing speed. When it's breezy, swing it easy, they say.
It is such an advantage on a day like today.
Sitting up nicely as well.
This might well turn into the battle of the short game.
That was clever. That really was superb from Kang. Proper golf shot, that one.
I think greens in regulation are going to be at an all-time premium today. It's been a relatively benign course off the tee. You know, hitting fairways hasn't necessarily dictated whether you could hit the green in regulation, but I really do think that it's going to be such a correlation between whether you're on the putting surface or not today, given the need for scrambling.
Well,
So bad. I mean, it's like oscillating so bad.
it's off-putting, isn't it?
Well, you're not allowed to hit a moving ball either, so it's very hard to commit when you're seeing something like that happen.
got to stay focused, haven't you? You know that everyone else in the field is suffering along with you. I just wondered that you think about scores out there. Carrie Webb, Georgia Hall, they're out on the course right now, 4 under. Charlie Hull, 3 under. Are they out of it back there on those kind of scores?
Well,
nearly
also,
finishing their round?
It depends where you are when this wind is happening, because the back nine plays substantially easier than the front nine. And so if you're getting the tougher conditions on the tougher nine, then things can really amplify quite quickly.
So you think these girls we're watching now suffering, that they're going to have an easier time of it on the back nine?
In theory. That's what the numbers say, but
okay.
Who knows? Just the 2 top 10 finishes on the LPGA for Pei Yun Chen this year. One of which came 2 weeks ago, tie for 7th at the Thornbury Creek LPGA Classic.
Which was a different kind of test. 31 under par winning that one.
An absolute score fest that week.
Masson apparently he's backed off this once already. Bear in mind she's just bogeyed her last 4 holes as well. Oh, Caroline. 5 over for the round, 4 under for the tournament. Bruised and battered by the wind. Apologies if you heard any language there. Time to think.
And you can see just how close the green is to the water. It's probably really only about 80 to 100 yards away from the beach, if you will, so it is supremely exposed.
Looking to become the 7th Korean woman to win on the LPGA Tour this season. You look at the leaderboard as well, you've got 4 Koreans inside that share of 4th place or better. Come on, boy.
Not even for a treat. Even he's flustered today.
That swing doesn't change whatever the wind speed.
This is going to keep on rolling. There's nothing to stop that golf ball. Everything feeds towards the back left, and guess where the hole location is? Up in that back right section. You can use that little backboard as you saw there.
That was very nicely played.
Clever golf, that. Truly is the kind of day where driving's difficult, irons are difficult, putting is difficult. I mean, the chips are fading even in the air.
Well, that's why that one from Haji Kang was so impressive. Kept it down along the ground. It's the way forward, and we saw from Amy Yang as well, using the contours to take the ball down there. It's not a day for hitting it high, is it?
No, really, anything out on the line of the TV tower would be good from Tiff here. Bringing in a little right to left. Should keep bending around. Use the slope. Oh, she holed about a 50-foot putt to the front right pin yesterday for birdie. That was from just off the green as well.
I bet she's relieved she's actually going to be putting for birdie in a moment. It's been a long time coming. clever looking shot from area. Has it got a little bit of spin on it? It's going to go to the back of the green.
It's one thing to be able to control your carry, but that's the thing about links golf, is that you can seldom control what happens once the ball has landed. That was pretty crafty. Didn't do too much practice last week, Area. She spent a couple of weeks at home in Thailand. Saw that she went out, did some sightseeing with her mum and older sister Moria. So this is the 12th hole, the first par 3 on the back 9. Playing 161 yards today, and then the pin over on that right-hand side. So that's going to be very difficult to get to, given that the wind is coming off the right-hand side as well. So really anything centre of the green would be fantastic. Putt back towards the hole location. Try and keep it out of those 6 greenside bunkers if you can for a birdie chance.
Well, we're at the par 3 12th, and delighted to say Solheim Cup player, LPGA Tour regular Sandra Gao has joined us in the commentary box. Afternoon, Sandra.
Hello, hello. Thanks
Nice
for having me.
Yeah, nice to be in the comms box, done and dusted, and watching these ladies suffer a little as it stands in the wind.
It's quite cozy in here, I have to say.
By contrast to what's happening outside.
Exactly.
Now, this course has changed, hasn't it, considerably every day, hasn't it?
Every single day. Today was the biggest change. I think I played maybe 12 or 13 holes in this wind, and it was incredible. Nothing like the practice rounds. Nothing you can prepare for, really.
So, say, for example, you know, watching this putt here from area for birdie, I mean, how much is the wind affecting putts, for example?
Huge, huge. So I had a couple putts coming in where they would be right to left, and I would actually, and the wind was coming left to right, so I would aim actually left of the hole just to allow for that break. So it's going completely against the break.
Yeah, we've already seen some pretty unbelievable stuff. We've seen a chip of area. Jitanagan almost went at right angles. It certainly faded in the air. It was only about 10 metres in the air and it moved.
Wow.
We've seen Caro Masson have trouble with the ball oscillating, and we've seen a lot of this.
Yes.
So you've got the Firth of Forth behind. Where's the wind coming from, say, here at this
This
par 3?
this par 3, the wind is coming into off the right. So you got to kind of aim way right or kind of cut it in there, which is hard because it's a very long hole. I hit a 4-iron in there.
A 4-iron, and it's 161 yards,
Yes.
so it's normally
Yes.
you know, a 6 or 7 for most players.
Yes, you could see how far right she started this, and it's ended up on the left side of the green.
Everything pushing it over to that left side. Truly a classic Scottish test of golf today.
It's hard work, but I suppose, Sandra, you see it as good practice as well for what's coming potentially next week at Lytham.
Absolutely. You know, I did not have a great day today, but I played actually much better in the wind than without the wind early in this round. And I felt it just really forced me to commit to my shots. I think it's the biggest thing you have to do on a day like this is really, really commit to what you do, because you might have to aim into bushes or bunkers, and you cannot bail out of that.
Off the back of a drop shot at 11, Minjee Lee.
That's going to be a popular section of the green. And I guess for you, you're a supremely creative person, Sandra. So maybe even tapping into the artistic side out there in the wind.
A little bit, definitely. If you have a 4-iron in your bag and the next club is a 5-wood, sometimes you just have to. You hit it really, really low. Hit some shapes into the wind. especially when it comes to the short game on this golf course as well. We've got so many options.
Even these short putts, you know, Tiffany Joe, you know, leading badly. What's 7 shots gone in the last 6 holes? Even that one she's left to a couple of feet. It's no certainty, is it?
Absolutely. You got to think about where you're going to leave your second putt if you miss the hole. Is it going to be downwind, downhill? Not good.
Is this billiards or golf? I feel like thinking about the next shot, one shot ahead. It's going to be a test of mental strength out there today.
Be good surfing out there.
Yeah, I'm sure that's what Tiffany's thinking about.
I think so.
She's a very keen surfer. She was checking out where she could go, but at the moment trying to make pars, and I think it'll be more in her mind. This for Amy Yang to stay in front on her own now, of course, at 10 under par. What an impressive round she's put together so far. 2 birdies, 2 bogeys. We've been talking about it the first couple of days, actually. Given the way she swings it, it seems such little that can go wrong with her game. I wonder why maybe she hasn't won more than the 3 times she has over the years on the LPGA Tour.
I'm sorry, I missed
Amy Yang.
Amy Yang.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. I think just recently she's been struggling a little bit with an injury.
Correct, yeah, had a bit of tennis elbow.
Yes, but I would agree with you. I love her golf swing. I love her demeanor.
I never thought that I might not get
she's one of the nicest people out there. I think she, I would like to see her win more, and I could definitely wonder why she hasn't won more, but don't we all wonder?
And whenever someone's playing well, we always say that, but you know, sometimes
Yes.
it's the weeks in between that dictates the career.
But good to see Tiffany at least ending the bogey run there at 10.
Pei and Chen almost needing a yardage for this pitch back.
Yes.
She's been hitting
I'm sure
over-
she's used to a bit of wind coming from Taipei.
Yeah, you've played a bit of golf there yourself.
Yes, always crazy, crazy, crazy windy.
And another player that was lucky to miss the long grass.
I mean, give us an idea. You've seen them playing their 3rd shots in here. What were you hitting in for your 2nd shot yesterday, Sandra, at this 11th hole? Par 5, 11th, yeah?
Yes.
Here's the tee. Right
Yes.
by the cliff edge.
So yesterday I hit a 5-iron in and hit it on the green, and today I hit driver 3-wood and got it on the green. So big difference, but you could still reach it because the wind is coming off the left into, so it's definitely still reachable if you dodge the bunkers off the tee.
You could say that for probably 14 holes out
Exactly.
of this golf course.
Here's your fellow German, Caroline Masson,
Yeah.
who's been struggling last 5 holes, bogeys all the way.
You've played a lot of golf with Caroline growing up. You know, she always kind of seems to, she gets herself in contention quite a bit and then just seems to get a little hot under the collar sometimes. I feel like that can go either way for players. Sometimes it refocuses them. But she seems quite clearly, you know, a little bit disturbed by the weather out there today.
I think she's been playing extremely well the last couple of years, and especially this year too. I definitely played from the same club with her, grew up playing with her. I don't know what's going on in her head, you know, that's tough to say, but I think she's, like you said, she's been in contention a lot. She's been up there in the top 5 quite a few times. She won last year, was it the year before?
Year before,
Year
I believe,
before,
yep.
yep.
Suo now at the 11th.
Looks like these players have to lay up.
Yeah, I think maybe the wind speed's picked up a little bit from even when you played it, Sandra.
The good thing is Suo's left herself with probably the best angle that we've seen so far. Not too much of a cross breeze, green to work with from the right-hand side. I'd have to say Sue actually has probably the best pitching technique, I'd say, on tour. She has a beautifully neutral position coming through the ball, so any kind of half swing, she always seems really in control of her game.
Nice. She's working with Cameron too, Cameron McCormick, isn't she? No?
Well, she's certainly worked with him in the past, but I know she's made a couple of changes this year.
See.
But
Not starting any rumors on TV.
never. Almost needed a running start at that one, Heiji Kang.
It's hard to describe how difficult it is out there. You don't see all of it because you don't feel it when you're sitting in here, but every single putt is such a challenge too.
We believe you. We can see what it's doing to the leaderboard. All change, of course. Tiffany Joe starting the day with a 3-shot lead. Now she's 3 behind Amy Yang. Maybe a birthday really to celebrate the way things are going. Level par for the day, but it's good enough to sit on top. 1-shot advantage right now over Minjee Lee. As I think is most of the time we're watching them putt from any kind of length. Putting for par as opposed to birdie today.
Yeah, downhill, little left to right from here. Wind will push it even more to the right. It's well holed. Nice up and down. It seems almost impossible to miss that 12th green to the right today, given the strength of wind off the right-hand side.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's also difficult from the TV pictures to see the undulations on this kind of putt, Sandra.
Yeah, this is actually quite uphill. Into the wind, it's going to be very, very slow.
That's something that I've noticed from Sung Kyun Park. I saw it in the practice round. She's actually, when she's taking her long putting stroke, her putter is ending almost above knee high. She's really swinging the putter through at the moment. And, you know, for those of you at home, you really almost want to keep the height of the putter as consistent as possible and probably even as low as possible, just to make the strike a little bit better.
Frustration for So Yeon-yu. Second bogey of the day, over par for the round now. Back to 6 under, she'll go.
You can hear the wind. It's like the fourth commentator today at the moment. It's having its 2 cents.
Well, with these winds, you can almost throw out the greens books and it's all just feel.
You said that just as Alison got hers out.
I saw that, but literally it's very much more athleticism and feel when it comes to that wind equation.
You know, when Tiff Joe was in here with us yesterday, she usually uses, you know, the greens books, but she said that she's actually been not focusing on the subtle breaks and almost just committing to the big breaks that she could see, try and simplify her putting a little bit on the greens, look further down the line as well.
Are they going to ban the greens books? Is that something that's happening?
I'm not sure, but I quite enjoy them because they certainly help commentary.
I heard that might be something in effect 2019.
It slows things down, doesn't it, Sandra? You know.
I personally don't use it, It confuses me. It's too many numbers.
Well, you're about as non-linear as they get, and I think
Right.
as soon as you start putting numbers on a green, that's
My
gonna...
caddy has it, so if we read putts together, then he will look into it and just confirm whatever I feel and see, which is nice.
So make Patrick do the maths.
That's right.
Went home for a couple of weeks, Suo, in the lead up to this event. She said it felt a little bit like a mini off season for her. Really good recharge back in Melbourne.
Everyone needs that. I went home to Germany last couple of weeks. It's beautiful.
It looked lovely.
This putt is super fast. Downwind, downhill.
But you're right, Alison. She made some big changes actually earlier this year after a little slump in the form. Changed clubs. A dad who looked after a lot of her business as well. Told to head back to Australia. She'll look after herself. No
Okay.
coach.
No coach.
No coach now.
She's freestyling at the moment, Suo.
Bogey for
Like this would
So Yeon-yu. Come on. Let's see how Ji Kang stay at 7 under. Seeing a lot of that today, and you know, if you're just looking at it, not realizing what's going on, you'd think, what on earth is going on with these ladies? But there's a big reason for it.
It's one of those days where you put the sunscreen on for the wind.
Right.
For the wind
Right.
burn that's coming later.
I mean, what do you think, Sandra? Carlotta Siganda's just birdied the last for a 68, 5 under par. I mean, how
Wow.
close to the lead do you think that will be at the end of the day, given what 10 under is leading right now? Here's Suo trying to stay at 6.
I think she'll be 3 off the lead. That's my prediction.
We thought it might be about 8 under.
Yep.
Another one. Another 3 putt. It's a recurring theme. If you like your golf on TV, watching players struggle, well, you've got another couple of hours coming up, I think. This was Carlotta Siganda finishing up a moment or two ago. She hit a massive drive down here, apparently, just chipped up to this point.
On
And
18.
on 18, in for a birdie 3. How about that 68?
Beautiful.
Second best score of the day.
She actually hit the green, apparently, we're hearing. Just short of the green, but it was a putt. But it's 386 yards long, the 18th hole.
That is a gutsy play. You got those 2 big bunkers that you can't carry. Just got to thread them.
Got the road as well out on the right-hand side. So just a tap in there for Sung Hyun Park.
But bear in mind, she was 11 shots off the lead at the start of the day, Carlotta Siganda. I mean, she's 5 back now, and she can, you know,
Yeah, this
sit
is
in the
kind of
clubhouse and enjoy
Absolutely.
watching the girls come maybe back to her.
It's almost like this wind definitely just levels out the playing field. You know, you can tee off early. She obviously didn't, but you can tee off early and make a ton of birdies.
Amy Yang found the bunker off the tee. This at the par 5 11. So still a fair bit to go in here. You can see wood in hand.
Yeah, one of your previous caddies on the bag, and Sean Clues,
Sean,
an
yes.
Australian.
I think they're a good fit together. She has such beautiful tempo. It almost looks like she doesn't hit the ball at all. She just swings through. Beautiful shot.
I think there's a couple of players that would take that shot 8 days a week out there at the moment.
Yeah, we mentioned the Thornbury Classic and the record-breaking win for Se-Young Kim. Amy Yang had a box seat of that. Playing in the final group with the fellow Korean now. Area coming out of a fluffy lie here. Well, Sandra, thanks for joining us in the commentary box. It's been great to get your insight into what are very tough conditions. And best of luck tomorrow. And of course, next week at Lytham as well, Women's British Open.
Thanks for having me. This was fun.
Absolute pleasure. Amy Yang on the green in 3 at the par 5 11th. One-shot advantage over Minjee Lee. But in the clubhouse after that 68, Carlota Ciganda right now 5 back. Where will she be at the end of the day? This one at 13. Excellent shot from Minjee Lee. Not on the green, but giving herself a birdie look at least. Now, really good to have Sandra's insight there, because we know it's windy out there, but she's experienced it today.
To be in here, but to be out there, you know, you almost have to hunker down when you're leaving the commentary box, let alone trying to hit a shot. Out on 13. Wood in hand. It is one of the longest par 4s on the golf course, 415 yards today. That won't be too bad through the back. Relatively flat little spot there for Soyeon.
Oh, Mary Jatanagar struggling at this par 5 11th. You can see that flag was bending back almost towards her. She leads, I make it 11 categories on the LPGA Tour, from money list to birdie made to player of the year, and shows you what kind of season she's been having.
There's one category I think we need to hone in on today, and that's scrambling, Richard. And funny enough, Minjee Lee ranks 2nd on the LPGA in scrambling at the moment, so no surprises to see her toughing it out there.
Yeah, you know, the thing about Minjee as well, she stepped it up, hasn't she, the last 6 months. She's becoming the player that many thought she would be when she turned pro. Not just the win, but the amount of time she's been up there.
Well, she's made the cut in 15 of 16 events, obviously had the win as well at the LPGA Volvic Championship, but when she did make the cut, she was only outside the top 26 twice. Not to mention 7 top 10 finishes.
That's a really well judged part from Amy Yang. Had to take a little time off earlier in the season. We mentioned the elbow injury, a bit of tennis elbow. In fact, she couldn't lift the club up at one point, but took a little bit of rest a couple of months back, and says still pains a little bit. She has to put a bit of gel on and things at night time, but obviously not affecting her golf right now. Leading the way, despite finding the bunker off the tee here at 11. Looks like she's going to escape with a par.
This is when you have the the pro-am saying, you know, it's a form of play. Par is your friend, but par is your best friend, I think, out here on Saturday. It's been a while since we've said it, but a birdie chance for Tiff Joe.
Well, they were all going in, weren't they, first couple of days? But it's really important that she maintains this perspective that she's still right in it. We've been saying 8 under could be leading at the end of the day, and she's 7 under right now.
And you never know what's going to happen conditions-wise tomorrow either. Given her 62 in the first round, it really is quite the spectrum of possibilities for the weekend.
But it's hard to have that perspective, isn't it, when you've, what, dropped 7 shots in the last 7-8 holes?
Oh, supremely difficult. And, you know, you just think she's got to keep trying to get that smile on the face as much as possible.
Here's a laid-back character. You would think nothing would faze her, but struggling down this 11th. And it results in a frustrating bogey for Ari Jatanagarn, who moves back alongside Tiffany Joe and Sunghyun Park at 7 under. Still got the possibility of 3 different players inside the top 10 that could go to world #1, Ari amongst them tomorrow afternoon.
Yeah, pretty tidy stuff there from Pei Yun Chen. So Chen with a chance to save par there on 13.
Great par indeed, given where she was in 2.
Look, it's one of those days that you tuck your collar in, zip yourself up, put your seatbelt on, hope for the best.
We have a discussion about Sunghyun Park ball flight. Maybe doesn't necessarily favour conditions like this. I understand she took a long time in playing that. She is one of the players who can be very frustratingly slow out on the golf course, Sunghyun Park. They want to pick out one name because she's not necessarily alone, but I remember when she won the PGA Championship a couple of weeks back, I remember taking over 2.5 minutes for a wedge shot on the way there as well. That's brilliant. But look at that, still carry on past the hole.
I think there's been a real advantage actually, and you know, we referred to Cameron McCormick, Soyeon's coach, being on site. I actually think there's a real advantage having your coach on site in your first week of links, because what that does is they often tell you to try certain shots that you might not have thought of, and they give you permission to be mildly ridiculous, you know, hit with one leg in and one leg out. That's sometimes required. And look at that,
Sue. Oh my goodness. I mean, have you ever seen anything like that before? I mean, I hope we're going to see that back again. I mean, what on earth?
Did she have both feet in the bunker then? I think she might have almost caught a little bit of ball on the way through, generated the spin. Certainly blasted out.
It's incredible. One of the most bizarre things I think I've seen. On a golf course, of course. So have a look. So, I mean, I don't know, but you think, here we go, and back.
I think she actually put club on ball there. I think that was just so close. Maybe a little bit of sand between the two, and just generated an incredible amount of velocity.
Mud on your face. And the way it reacted, big disgrace.
Well, she's trying to work out where it's going to go next. You can follow her eyes.
Well, you would never think when the ball landed that that's where she would finish. Now this is a birdie attempt. No, no, this is par putt. No, I was right. It was for birdie.
Trust your
Right.
instincts.
I know.
Richard.
Just
I think everyone has to trust their instincts today. It's something that, you know, Lynn Marriott and Pia Nelson really work with their players, and two of their players, Erja Tanagan, one of those who they've been really pushing to be more reactive and pick the shot using the instincts and then commit to it.
so this is where she ended up from the bunker. I mean, how on earth? That's a backspin of about 140 feet.
Well, it was downhill, downwind coming
She's got
back.
backspin again.
I think she needs to check the shape of that golf ball, given that bounce again.
Maybe the club as well.
I think we're going to have to maybe reframe the way that we look at the highlights and maybe have a links light at the end of the day and stitch some of these together.
What, some of the craziest shots of the day?
I've already seen probably 3 shots I've never seen before, I don't think, at least in the last, say, half decade.
And we're laughing because we're sat here. Yeah, not so funny for the ladies battling to stay in the upper echelons of the leaderboard.
You know what? It's there for the taking, though, and it's there for the taking now, really, for anyone inside the top 10. If you can keep yourself in this mentally, certainly in with a chance tomorrow.
At the marker. So we'll do whatever you want to do. The one looks back in here. And then 2 goes.
You hear the Irish twang of Sung-Hyun Park's caddy. In the meantime, Masson's up at 14. This for birdie. Look, she looks like she's hardly hit this one. Look how far past it's ended up going.
And you can see sponsor boards falling over in the background there. That's a bit of a worry, if we're honest.
Dave Jones was the caddy I was talking about.
Come down pretty good.
Yes.
Well, in a way, you kind of hope she holds this one. Been a very strange hole for Suo. And it's going to result in a double bogey. She was going along so nicely at the start of the round. 4 drop shots in 5 holes before she came to the 12th, and another 2 go there.
To 14. 14 is 373 yards long, and it is probably drivable right now. Our TV tower, you can see the corner of it there, is up by the green. In previous rounds, we saw Nana Madsen get within, say, 20 yards of the front edge as well, and that was with a weaker wind than this, helping. You know, it's interesting though, we referenced Sung-Hyun Park's ball flight being quite high, and you know, it's somewhere where Sue actually probably has a slight advantage, Suo, that she keeps it a little bit lower, because you can throw it up in the air in Scotland and it actually gets knocked down and it doesn't get the carry that you think it's going to get. So it really is such a calculation if you're going to use the upper atmosphere.
Although it was a little windy when she won the PGA, although nothing like this, of course.
True, but you know, this is just so much more exposed.
Of course, it could have been the one that So-Yeon Yu won, if not for finding the water at the penultimate hole.
Oh, beautiful drive.
There's area. I've seen her do that a few times this year, haven't we? Seen her sitting down on tees, relaxing, chilling, chatting away with Tiffany J, waiting for the green to clear. Sunkyun Park putting for a par. Come on round. Now you want a big gust of wind to blow it in.
Well, you know, the professionals that are, you know, trying to work out their line sometimes refer to 4 o'clock on the clock face. It's not often that you hear of a 12 o'clock on the clock face, or maybe even a 1 p.m. coming in from the other side.
There's a bit of a gap now between the top two and the rest. Sunkyun Park going back to 6 under. Amy Yang, remember, leading at 10 under, and then Minji Lee at 9. Caroline Masson stepped away from this once already, apparently. Seen her do that a few times today.
Very safe, mate. Good blood now, mate. Those fuckers play this hole.
Lot of shaking heads going on.
Great job, well
It's
done.
not golf, honestly.
Did you hear what she said? It's not golf, honestly.
Well, I think Suo would agree with that. She made a bit of a meal of it. It was.
Well, Suo and Caroline Masson between them, I think there's something like a combination of 12 over par for the last 6-7 holes. So no wonder they're feeling like it's not golf. Certainly not golf like they've played much in the past. So our tournament leader ready to go here on the par 3 12th. You can see that flag bending over to the left ahead of her. Look how far right she started it now. Where's it going to finish? Short of the green.
That's not going to stop there either.
And you can see what she was trying to do.
Well, this is one of those days where I think you need to set yourself 2 different goals over each shot. You have an execution and then you have your planning. As long as one of those is fine, I think you get a check mark. And, you know, maybe let yourself off a little bit. It's going to be very hard to get the planning, the execution, and then that third check mark, which is the conditions, which you can't always control. And look at where Tiff Jo is aiming. Out almost towards that leaderboard, just inside it. Naturally hits a draw, so this is going to be tough for her to hold the green if it does hit it.
A lot of players over there, unsurprisingly, given the way the wind is blowing, direction-wise. Sometimes you just got to laugh.
It's usually pretty good at that, but I think these conditions are going to wear out even the most positive of players. And to be fair, these are two of the 3 probably most positive people on tour in
Tiffany and Area.
Yeah, I mean, Area Jitanagan is incredible at keeping a level head on the golf course.
Even when that lead was slipping away at the US Open, she managed to keep a cool head. Many thought that she was done and dusted, but she managed to fight back and get the job done.
See ball back in the stance, wants to hit this lower.
Brilliant shot. It's funny, actually. I wonder what she thinks. She had a couple of 65s coming into this round, and she said yesterday after a 65 that she doesn't particularly like playing links golf. I wonder what she thinks playing in this.
Might be using a couple of different words.
I mean, she said that after a 65.
Oh dear. Currently 3 over par at the moment, Area.
Good hold, well hold out from Haiji Kang. Keeps it firmly inside the top 10. Carlotta Siganda's score looking better, isn't it? By the minute, 68. Only beaten today by Sarah Kemp's effort of 67. But a lot of players on that leaderboard over par for the day. Minji Lee, despite a bogey at 11, putting together a fine round that keeps her just one behind the tournament leader, Amy Yang, 10 under par. Well, she, I suppose, could have taken a drop for line of sight with our camera tower down there, but decided to play it and gobbled up, I think, by one of the bunkers. You can see the ball of So Yeon Yu on the front edge of the green.
And it looks like Ian Chin might be taking the scenic route as well. Maybe not the worst leave at the moment for Amy Yang. Has plenty of green to work with, but everything will push this over toward the left-hand side. I'll admit I'm not used to seeing pitches move in the air in terms of right to left to right from the breeze. And the aforementioned Pei Yun Chen.
Oh, I think that might have turned over in the rough club head I'm talking about.
That's over on 15. So this is where Tiff Joe's shot ended up, over on that left-hand side. Might come back. Needs a couple of gusts of wind. You could almost say this is the equivalent of stepping up to a golf course that you've maybe watched a different tournament on. And maybe you went and watched your friends play last week, and then you've got to play it yourself, because it really is so foreign to these players at the moment, this golf course.
Well, we were talking to one of the members yesterday, weren't we? And she said that she wanted to see this because this is what it's like when she plays it. She thought it was a bit unfair that the pros were making it look so easy.
Yeah, especially when she's struggling for her 28 points on the Saturday comp. No chance, albeit a little outside, for the first birdie of the day for Arya Jutanagan. It's a part of her game that she and her coach, short game coach Gareth Raflewski, have been working on those left to right putts. She was really comfortable on right to left, but they've been honing in the last 12 months on the left to right.
Downhill.
Well, right, now left. Well, good looking shot, but not left for par. 3 birdies in the first 5 holes for Pei Yun Chen, none since. So this to stay in the outright lead for Amy Yang. And that's not dead yet either. Remember, 13 under led heading into round 3, 9 under leads right now.
A little downhill right to left and then downwind. So I think it's going to break a lot and it's going to be pretty quick.
Yep.
Yeah,
That's not the voice of So Yun Yu, obviously you can hear there, but she is putting
Bay's ball mark.
just off the green for 14.
Yeah.
We talked with Sandra when she was in the commentary box about the concept of creativity and being, you know, a non-linear player, starting to look at where, you know, maybe you want the ball to, in theory, stop rolling. So maybe even start pretending that the hole is, say, 2 feet closer, given how much rollout these putts are getting toward the end of its lifeline. She's just switched to a new putter recently, Tiff. You can see on the face some grooves. Putting coach, same as areas. Gareth said she was getting backspin with her previous putter, and finally one drops today.
Well, she had 52 putts only over the first 2 days, which was great going. And it's been frustrating on the greens, frustrating all round for Tiffany Joe, but she's a happy bunny because she just rolled in 1 for par.
Yeah, correct.
Expectations are different. She probably hold, I'd say, about 300 feet of putts in the first 2 days. That number's probably down to about 50 feet today.
Yep.
3 bogeys, 2 birdies now for Amy Yang, back into a share of the lead with Minjee Lee. This for par for Chen. And another one takes another step back.
Survival of the toughest here in Gullen Golf Club.
Oh, well done. Excellent 2-putt in the end. For a par, eh?
If ever there was a day to not mic up players, it's today.
Confirmation that that drop shot from Amy Yang has her now alongside Minjee Lee. With a drop shot of her own. This third round, weather conditions has completely changed the nature of this tournament. I think we might have been conservative in our estimates of 8 under leading at the end of the day.
Well, I was joking with Tiff Jo last night. She's been knitting a scarf, and I said, maybe you'll need it this week, but next week, but you won't need it this week. But right now, it's not so chilly, but maybe even just for the protection from the elements.
Another gust forcing area to back off here.
It started right. Doesn't look like it drew back in either. It's supremely hard, really, to get lines off the tee. There's so many holes here at Gullen that go up and over a rise and a horizon, and there aren't actually that many targets for you to choose from just because of the nature of the one consistent slope. You can see there, it's hard to kind of pick a starting line. And it's worth having a look from overhead of what really plays as probably the longest par 4 on the course at 415 yards, and normally those bunkers would be out of play. They're about 210 to carry on the left-hand side, but today all bets are off, and really anything on the short fairway grass would be ideal, and players really looking at having long irons, maybe even some hybrids or woods into this green today, given the winds into off the right-hand side. So par's a good score, birdie's a bonus, and I'm sure we're going to see a couple of others. It's been averaging over its par in the first 2 rounds. Now that number's only going to go up today.
Yeah, par 70 for the men, par 71 for the ladies. Of course, this is the same venue where the men's Scottish Open was played, as it was last year, as it will be next year. Of course, last year with Dundonald Links, next year at the Renaissance Club. Found the bunker, front right of the green, is played out to here, Sung Hyun Park. So this for par at 13. I wouldn't think there's too many rounds where she's not had a birdie, but that is the case so far today. And it's going to be a 3rd bogey of the round. Muted applause.
I think it's almost the sound of one hand clapping out there at the moment, because everyone else has their hands in their pockets trying to brace themselves from the elements.
By the way, Sarah Kemp after that 67 up to 13th now. Well, here's one of the best rounds of the later starters. Leanne Pace, par 5 16, 5 under as she started the day. 2 birdies, 2 bogeys from the South African. Now, of course, we had a South African winner here a couple of weeks ago, Brandon Stone. What a brilliant win that was for Brandon.
Just 3 players inside the top 10 under par today. And really that number extends to the top 12.
Suo's been bleeding badly, hasn't she? There's another drop shot. 6 bogeys in the last 7 holes for the Australian. So, you know, when you get on this run, we saw it earlier from Tiffany Jones, it's just hard to see where the next par is coming from.
It's a momentum game, but there's not a lot of positive momentum going on for any players today. You look at Minjee Lee, who started off with 2 consecutive birdies, and now she's got 2 bogeys in the last 4 holes herself.
Yeah, 65s and 66s yesterday. Yet a 67 from Sarah Kemp has taken her from 67th to 13th. That's the kind of day it is.
You make the cut on the number, and then all of a sudden, well, she was 1 ahead of the cut when she started.
We saw how close Justin Rose got last week at Carnoustie, having made it on the mark. That's on chirpy. Couple of pars. It's down at the right side of 13 for the leader.
In a way, you're almost better off into the wind being in the first cut of rough. A lot of players this week have been saying that off the hard pan fairway, that they're actually getting less distance with their irons. It's increasing the spin rate. It's shooting that ball up in the air a little bit more. Out of the rough, you at least have the chance of maybe rolling it up through the entrance to the green.
Ooh, a bit like this. Fantastic.
And a better angle here for Tiff Jo with her draw. Can ride the wind a little bit. Might have just caught. There is a bunker 25 paces short of this green. It might have ended up in there. It certainly wasn't her best strike.
Someone said great shot. It's spot on.
Safely on, but there's no certain 2-putt around this golf course today.
No, Garland Golf Club is certainly baring its teeth in the breezy conditions by the Firth of Forth. 13 under leading the way at the start of the day. Now it's 9 under par, and it's Amy Yang who's on top at 9 under. Minjee Lee, like Amy, just off the back of a drop shot. Tiffany Jo, the overnight leader, still right there, isn't she, despite her travails in this third round. A lot of class in there. Carlota Ciganda, the Spaniard, her 68 impressing, and Jin Young Ko, who leads the way as the Rookie of the Year on the LPGA Tour this season, also now inside that top 10. Just a few players there further down the leaderboard. Kari Webb, 70 today from her. 3 under, 6 back as it stands. IK Kim, of course, defends her title next week. 3 over for the day. Oh, in the bunker. At least it's come out of its pitch mark there, not plugged. Couldn't get it on the putting surface.
It's going to be a question of trying to get up and down for bogey now. And to be fair, we've seen some great up and downs for bogeys, namely Sung Hyun Park's back on the first hole. And out with the flat stick for Soyeon. Up over the slope, will keep rolling out. This looks pretty handy.
Very good putt from Leanne Pace. Keep her at 5 under. Tidy scorecard she's putting together. Can't quite say the same about Tiffany Joe though. Still not on the green after 3 shots here. As the locals would say, it's just a wee breeze.
Using some of the Scottish slang cards we got, the translation card we got given earlier this week.
I do feel the urge to read something from it that I think is quite amusing. It's for the players, of course, that travel from all over the world, not necessarily be in Scotland before. It says, "Don't be offended if you're called dearie, darling, or love."
They're not condescending terms in this part of the world, not really any part, but it is. It's lovely being here in Scotland, I have to say, and I think there's an element of homecoming for all of these golfers, given the life that they've been provided by the game that was grown in this part of the world.
Well, what's amazing is, I mean, just you're going to have to drive from wherever you're staying to the course here to go past 3 or 4 other golf courses as well. Some superb ones at that. As you say, 2 putting from this kind of distance, no formality.
Now, the first part of this putt will be uphill for Minjee. Really, the first around about 15 feet. All right to left. Might straighten out a little bit toward the end. Not too bad by Saturday standards.
Mary Jatanagan for a rare bird. On its way. Very solid par at 13 though from the Thai player. Just to remind you, 3rd in the world would go to number 1 with a win. No other question, 3rd on the leaderboard right now. Three bogeys today She only had one bogey over the first 2 days.
There's nothing that can quite prepare you for these conditions as well. Because these days on the golf course are rare, even when you try and practice in the wind in the off weeks.
Another one backing off, Amy Yang. Just to get back to 10 under.
And she's a player that usually, when the going gets tough, namely in the majors, brings her best golf to the forefront. She's had a top 10 in a major every year for the past 9 seasons, yet to get one this year, but a couple of opportunities left on the 2018 schedule.
Yeah, next week at Lytham, and then of course at Evian in September. Just caught the left edge, but then it drops for you.
4.
Straight.
Straight, if anything, a little right left, like right center.
The bogey, of course. It's another double for Tiffany Joe, her second of the day. 8 over par now for the round and back to 5 under. What a contrast to the first 2 days for a player seeking her first LPGA Tour title.
There just aren't that many scoring opportunities left right now, especially given the conditions. But, you know, you look at 14 where this group is headed now.
Well, yeah, I mean, you even bear in mind the par 5, the 16th, you think, well, there's a chance coming, but it's not. I mean, there's more bogeys at that hole today than there's been birdies.
And 14, playing downwind, is difficult to that right-hand hole location.
No.
And then they've got a back right hole location here on 15.
Well, shots being frittered away.
Now this is difficult. Right-hand rough. Pin is by the second TV tower over the bunkers. I'd be surprised if Caro was even going that direction. I think she'll play out to the left. So this is the 14th, and normally downwind this would be a piece of cake, but not today. No fairway bunkers really coming into play at all, unless they're up by the green and you've monstered a drive down. So with the hole location on the right, anything in the left half of the fairway is position A1 just for the angle, but really playing to the centre of the green today, maybe putting over towards the hole location, which is 17 paces off, and 4 paces from that right edge would be ideal. Don't really want to bring that right-hand bunker into play either. And that's exactly what Suo has done. And this part of her game, usually a strength of hers, but...
Well, it's almost like she's waiting for the wind to die down, but I don't think it's going to, Sue. By the way, 2-shot lead, we should remind you now, for Amy Yang after that drop shot for Minjee Lee. gets back on the tee.
The line really left of the left TV tower. And that started right, which isn't a good sign.
Just came out of the thicker grass there.
It's going to be a very, very difficult angle coming up, even with just a short club in hand. You can see that bunker down on the left-hand side, and that's just 174 yards to carry, but it's probably not a bad line today, and that is just clutching to the left edge of the fairway. Wind fiercely off the left side.
Well, it's incredible, isn't it? She's 2 over par for her last 7 holes, having started the day 3 shots off the lead, and she's now leading by 2. Marshall indicating this one's straight down the middle.
What has Heiji Kang got for us? On the par 5.
Well, no one in these final groups now under par for the round. Remember, Minjee Lee was out in 32, but she is now back to level par for the round. The likes of Siganda and Jin Young Ko starting the day in slightly better conditions. Of course, when they finished, it was still very windy, but there's 68s, 67 from Sarah Kemp, very alien to what we're seeing right now. Amy Yang out in front. It's a 2-shot lead over Minjee Lee and Arya Jitanagan. There is Sarah Kemp, now up to a tie for 12th place. Well, another Jitanagan entering the top 20. Moria. Jenny Haglam, number 1 on the Ladies European Tour. Order of merit also right there now.
She won on a couple of continents this year, Jenny Hagland. Morocco, over on the Symetra Tour in the USA.
Hope her caravan's all right, though. Given these windy conditions, it might have toppled over. She's staying in a caravan, by the way.
Yeah, there've been some interesting living conditions so far. I know Madeline Sagstrom's out on a farm. She's got some Shetland ponies outside. Kari Webb was woken up by a rooster yesterday morning before her very early tea time. And on 17 there, Leanne Pace. That's a tough hole location today.
Can't remember the last time we saw a birdie.
I think one flew across the screen, Richard.
Wasn't that Carlotta's at 18?
There's not a lot of red on the scorecards of these players. Plenty of squares.
just noticed watching the players watching there that they're struggling to stand up straight even.
I wasn't sure what I was looking at then, seeing Sung Hyun Park just take a little wobble.
Sixteenth hole for Jenny Shin. Haven't seen much of her today. 6 over par for the round. Actually, make that 5 over par for the round. Her first birdie of the day. Our first birdie for about an hour.
Slim pickings here on Saturday.
Only takes her to 1 under though.
Just a little test up. She's been tentative on these today, Caroline Masson. No trouble there, but birdie free for the day. 5 over par for the round. Save there from Haji Kang. All right, back to Sue. Needs to finish this one off quickly. And I know we've seen plenty of birdies in our coverage, but you know, even throughout the first 2 rounds, this golf course was playing 0.75 over par as an average, and you'd have to think that's going to go out to almost 73, 74 numbers today.
Well, Ian Pace was one of those going well level par, but drop shot for her there. I think a little bit of Afrikaans there. Hit the flag with her third, apparently. Sung Hyun Park. Stays 5 under. We're seeing some of the best players in the ladies' game here. Major champions. Sung Hyun Park, an area. A couple of players, of course, who have been world number 1, could go back this week to world number 1. Look how they're struggling.
She really is a chameleon, I think. Probably the best in the women's game at adapting to different golf courses, Ari Jatanagarn. There's not many styles that she can't suit her game to, and part of that is because of her length. She can, you know, on a golf course that's a little bit more open, a little less penal off the tee, she can pull out a longer club, you know, drive a 3-wood, but she can hold back too. Somehow got the softest bounce on the golf course then, off the back of the bunker.
Yeah, I was expecting that to shoot through. Never mind stop as quickly like that. Typical area style there.
This really is perfect with the wind helping off the left. You want to be on the fairway on this hole. It's funny how into the wind you'd rather maybe even be off it in a decent lie in the rough, but Amy needs to generate some spin here. And it just goes to show in contrast how quickly Arias sat down. It was short of pin high. It's rolled through to the back edge.
Tiffany. Really got to dig her heels in here. See if this one's going to release down to the hole. That's pretty well played. Very well played. They're on the 14th, but 4 hours, 10 minutes to hit. I mean, the conditions obviously have had to play a part as well.
Well, it's not easy when you're getting set and then you back off, or you're blown out of your setup and then you have to essentially start your routine again sometimes. So it's going to take 1.5, maybe even double the time to hit some of these shots.
Well, it looks beautiful out there, but it's a bit of a beautiful beast. Garden Golf Club. Sun glistening off the Firth of Forth, but I don't think anyone's sucking in the views too much. It hit. Well, that's one of the best shots we've seen in a long time. Minjee Lee with a kick-in birdie coming up at 16.
It's the only way to get it close. I mean, it was a fantastic shot.
Remember, Jenny Shint made her first birdie just now of the day. It's 16. Oh, well, I know you need to keep it low under the wind, but well, yeah. Look at this awkward stance here. Ball in the bunker, but So Yeon Yu isn't.
She's practiced this. If you take a look at her social media, she was doing a couple of these in practice rounds. We'll see if it translates into real time.
You've got to have good leg muscles for this. Well, she's got it out.
Yeah, there is another bunker over that way. Interesting, we actually saw a couple of players try and hit the shot sitting on the edge of the bunker as well.
Good try from Area. Known as May, isn't she, by the players? Why May? Do you know?
Well, because of what she did
All those wins.
in the May of 2016.
She won all those tournaments, yeah. So
She won 3 events in that month, and that was all she was allowed to win. It was all the events of May. So
May it is.
it's a great nickname. But she's known to be one of the most pleasant people, just because of her nature, to play a round of golf with, especially in a final round. She's very happy-go-lucky.
Minjee Lee obviously looks like she's going to get to 8 under, which is going to be 1 behind this lady.
It's almost in direct contrast. The downhill putts are rolling 2 feet extra when you think they're going to stop, and you know, professional players are trained to try and leave it 2 feet past, but really they need to be adding 2 to 2.5 feet onto every reed, back uphill into the breeze.
We saw Jenny Shint go low. This is Haiji Kang. Oh, that was close to being really good. Not bad still. Now, can Tiffany Joe find a birdie? It's been a long time since the one she 2-putted for a birdie 4 at the second. It took her at the time, remember, to 14 under par. And she is trying to get back to 6 under. Come on.
She really, I mean, in the first 2 rounds, she was making putts with her eyes shut. It was possibly one of the most incredible putting displays outside of 30 feet that I've seen in a long time. It was Inby-esque, if you will. And it's a bit of a different story out there today.
Her lead at the top, although it's going to be reduced to 1 in a moment.
It reminds me of magnets. You know when you flip the magnets over, the golf ball and the flag, it's like there's a force field at the moment. Are okay on 14. Known as one of the fastest players on tour, and even she, Tiff Joe, needed her time on that one. And on comes 4 straight holes with the breeze into off the right hand side. 15, 16, 17 changes angle a little bit, but generally not much reprieve on the homeward stretch.
So a par putt coming up for you here. Excellent putt. Keeps her very much within touching distance. Scorecard says 5, but very interesting picture.
So back to 17. And that's not bad. It was a big rise. You can see AG walking up it now, the false front that dominates this front section of the par 3. Yeah, wind switching ever so slightly. It's probably a little bit more out of the south at the moment, which is into the player's face here. Just a little bit off the right-hand side.
One bunker left, one right here, but she's well wide of that.
Yeah, I'm not even sure if they'd be in play today. A lot of people hitting into them in practice rounds, but
260, the one down the right.
into the breeze, probably no chance, unless it's rolling into it. I think with this wind, you've got more chance of landing it in a bunker that's 220 off the tee. It's one of those golf courses where you have a practice round, you walk by the bunkers and you think, oh, that's not in play. I'll never be in there. I'm never going to need to practice those shots. And then, sure enough, the next day, that's where you are. The man behind the tee likes it.
Yeah, so he should. Another very solid hit from Amy Yang. The smooth swinging birthday girl going along pretty serenely. Not many can say that today. Leanne Pace was, but a couple of bogeys, last 4 holes. Downwind the 18th playing. Oh my goodness, that woke a few up in the grandstand.
That might be stuck in the wall. We'll see in a moment. And a good par from Hagee.
That's good to see her getting a move on.
Well, the tee's the other way, so I'm guessing this is a bit of a relief stop.
Oh, okay. Very delicately perched, Alison. Well, Minjee Lee haven't put in a birdie yet, but I'm sure she'll make it. That'll take her to 8 under par. 1 ahead of Ariya Jutanugarn and 1 behind Amy Yang, our long-time leader now in this 3rd round. Tiffany Joe still there on her first page despite her troubles, and Carlotta Ciganda feet up last hour or so. Very nice too after that superb round of 68. Georgia Hall's finished with a round of 71 today. A birdie finish for her. So not complete out of it. 6 back. Christy Kerr, of course, who led at the halfway stage last year. Kari Webb, who led after 3 rounds last year at Dundonald Links.
Well, when you look at that page, every single player par or better that was out earlier on today. It's a little bit of a different story on our lead page. Not too many pink numbers under par for the round.
And we had Cheyenne Woods in the commentary box the other day. She struggled day 1, made a 66 yesterday to make the cut, which is her first cut made since March. So good to follow it up with a 70 as well. Confidence booster for Cheyenne. Now this was the putt for birdie, which I've given to Minjee Lee, and of course she popped it in 8 under par.
I'd like to play against you in match play, Richard.
Oh, come
Although
on.
I think everyone would have given
You'd have been
that.
upset if I hadn't given you that.
So woke a couple of people up in the grandstands. Leanne Pace. Looks like a little tap in left there for her par as we head back to 16, where most of our final groups are headed. And you can see those bunkers on the right-hand side. They're 230 to get into off the tee, so maybe in play today, really left side off the tee, maybe hit out toward the right-hand side of that big oval-shaped bunker that's 43 paces short of the green. So something short of that will leave you a nice wedge. And the whole location today, as we've seen, up in the back right section. So really, with the wind into off the right. It's tough to get to, but centre of the green in the back and maybe putting back towards that whole location is ideal. And then we'll get back to that in just a second, but for now, let's head to 17, Minjee Lee.
Looks like it was ballooned up into the air, that one.
I know what the term in cricket is, but I think they'd be a little bit more lenient today. I don't think you'd be giving a run away.
She'd been over that part a while. Relieved to pop it in, Caroline Masson, one of those who's had her struggles today. Players separated by 6 shots. Now, listen, it's the weather conditions have tightened things up, haven't they?
I'll be honest, I'm not sure that any of these players are truly anticipating this amount of wind and struggle today. Really, it's been a true challenge in the Scottish sense of the word, which is different to most parts of the world, but it wasn't really the forecast early in the week that there'd be a day in the mix like this.
Well, they're predicting a lot of rain. Thankfully, we've got blue skies above. There has been rain overnight.
Just trying to hit a little knockdown hybrid. 163 yards to the pin. That's probably going to keep travelling down the hill. Drive a little bit down the left-hand side. Trying to draw it in, chase it up. We're seeing a lot of players short of the green pitching back up towards it. It was almost the opposite for Leanne Pace, using the backboards on the 18th. And that's a round of 72 for the South African. One on the LPGA Tour back in 2014. A shocking lie there for area. Oh, flirting with danger. Skipping past that right bunker. I don't see grass that high up the club face, up the club too often.
And you don't see too many days like this in Thailand, do you, really?
No, I wouldn't think so.
Fairway. Maintaining that rhythm, maintaining the lead right now.
She hasn't had a birdie since the 6th hole, but she's been solid, Amy, and really controlling her golf ball nicely.
Well, she said a few weeks ago her game was feeling better, finished 3rd at the Thornbury Classic, playing alongside record-breaking So Young Kim. It's not, it's not easy out there for it's not easy out there for the Seagulls either. One way they get there in a hurry. I would have thought flying into the wind can't be that easy.
I think the zigzag is a better option, isn't it? My limited flying experience.
I'm told the wind speed right now is gusting up to 31 miles an hour. I mean, it's hard to tell really, but when that is strong enough, it seems like it could be a little stronger than that, but that's the official speed of it.
Well,
Constantly at 23.
the way that this golf course is set up, so 17 where Minjili is, you can see from the horizon, it's the highest part of this golf course. It's at the crest of a hill, and 1 and 18 are over the other side. The other 16 holes are on the ocean side. And this on the green, let it roll out. And now beg for it to sit down.
Are you gonna go, honey?
Hey, Sos.
Ideally, you'd keep this as low to the floor as you could. Well done. Excellent. Well, the fact that she shot 62, 67 over the first 2 rounds, I mean, not that she was looking for a round like this, but even with the horrors that she's had, 4 back.
And normally in that situation, you know, under normal circumstances, you'd say it'd be great for them to pick up a shot on the way home, but it's not going to be that easy.
Just pile your way in. That'll do.
Just going to give Tiff Jo a nice read.
Shot. Thank you.
Birdie chances coming up at least.
And this is a very popular leave on 17, short of the green, pin on the front, big false front to go up and over.
Well, 3 testing par putts to come.
And she who was on the green, first to putt again.
And it's harder because she's, you know, obviously putting into the wind there, but it's hard to make yourself hit it that firm.
You know, we talked about Tiff Jo's putting and her long putting in particular, and it's been shining the first 2 rounds. It hasn't really had the opportunity to shine so far today because she hasn't hit that many greens so far, but you know, we talk about strikes and trying to get a good almost draw roll on the ball, almost a little bit of top spin, and that in these kind of conditions is a real advantage.
Haji Kang into the last. just can't get it to stop, can they? The only way you can do it is really do what Saganda did and get it as close to the green as you can and 2-putt from off the green. Georgia Hall also birdied the last, we should point out, recently. She's just 6 back right now, although this for Amy Yang to remain at 9 under. She's been putting these so well, hasn't she, in this round, keeping her score together. But not there. Saw the way she backed off, didn't feel comfortable. 8 under in a share of the lead now.
And Sandra Gall's crystal ball might be pretty accurate come day's end. She said 8 under could be a good number. It might even go back to 7, you never know. 16, which has been playing the 3rd easiest hole on the golf course in the last 2 days. Completely different picture today.
Well,
that's if you can get through 15 unscathed.
Yeah, I was going to say Arias still with work to do here for her part. So she goes back to 6 under.
Players just absolutely grinding out there. That's going to be the 3rd drop shot in 4 holes. There was a birdie on 16, but that's gone back to the bookmakers, I think, for a Minjee lead.
Yeah, well, you were saying it could go to 7. Yeah, well, only one player better off than that now. So Amy Yang, every time she drops a shot, manages somehow to stay in front. And suddenly, with a par, Tiffany Joe, 3 off the lead. To remind you, she is 8 over for the day. Tanagard's card, birdie free.
And she hasn't played poorly.
No.
Dare I say that? I mean, it sounds bizarre.
So you're new. It's a. I mean, I wonder what players like Imby Park who aren't here are thinking right now. Sure, maybe she's watching on TV right now.
Oh, she's in a nice, comfy armchair with her feet up, maybe a cool drink in her hand. Actually, knowing Imby, she's probably on the range.
Probably, yeah. Well, she would have been at some point today, at least. Now, it's down for Masson at the par 5 16th. Saw how far right she was aiming that, and look how far left it's finished.
And that's coming out of the rough, where the ball is slightly less affected generally than on the fairway.
Took a long time apparently to find Sungham Park's ball. Now getting a caddy and one of the officials there, I think, to move the advertising board.
And it's actually it's not a given that you can always move those. So you have to check the local rules. We've seen time and time again some players have been pulling those out and end up getting penalised.
Yeah. Well, what a day it's been. Gullen Golf Club baring its teeth. Players trying to hold on to their scores. 13 under par led the day after round 2. 8 under leads now. Amy Yang with 3 holes left to play. Drop shot at 15 at the same time. Minjee Lee dropped a shot at 17. So a one-shot advantage still. But Jin Young Ko, the young Korean, the leading rookie on the LPGA Tour. Carlota Ciganda, who's had some really good finishes in recent weeks. Their 68s have seen them go a long way up that leaderboard in what's been a very tough round 3 at the Ladies Scottish Open.
Tiff Joe on 16. That's not the signal that you want. Might just sit down. That's okay there. A hole that was reachable in 2, really, on Thursday. Players even coming in. Colbrook Larson had an iron into this hole, and you can see how the complexion's changed slightly. So first bunker down on the right, 230 yards to get to. Really, centre, left, centre is okay of the fairway, but it will get pushed from right to left by the breeze. Well, breeze is probably a kind way of putting it. Languid swing of Amy Yang. That one looks nice and low and a little better off than the previous 2 who found the left rough.
It's taken a long time for Sung Hyun Park to play this shot, digging it out at 16, but in danger of another shot going back. 4 under now. She is 4 over for the day already.
Well, there's no downside to missing the green long on 18 today. You know, it's not often that you think about being up against a sponsor board and the grandstands as being a positive, but it is almost funneling all of the shots towards the back. And you can see there from Heiji, who now finds herself in a tie for 3rd place. It's not too shabby long on 18.
Good looking shot from Sung Hyun Park, but that left for par, getting a little closer off the slope.
Caught up with David Jones, who's on her bag, and we were talking about what kind of shots they've been practicing and how she'd been trying to hit the knockdowns. That's still moving.
I was going to say getting closer. No, not anymore, Richard, no. Running up. Look, that's the quickest I've seen her move all week. She's going up to mark the ball. She does do hurry.
She knows how to do it. Nope. Needs to tie the shoelaces now. has been interesting talking to, in particular, the caddies this week, talking about what kind of shots each player has been trying to warm up with. And I know Sung Kyun Park really focusing on a knockdown that didn't have a high spin rate. It's a shot a little bit more within the grasp of Caro Masson.
Well, there's been a lot of rain around today. I mean, we have dodged that. I mean, we had a little bit as the leaders went out this afternoon, but
what a fantastic view of 18.
look at this one. Perfect.
Carlotta Segunda must have absolutely moosed a drive down there to be able to putt from off the green.
So hard you can, trying to finish off what's been a pretty good day amongst the leaders, really. 71, 6 under par, and she's right in the mix, isn't she, heading into the final round? That has been good progress for her today, which seems an anomaly saying that after a level par round, but maybe a chance of a breakthrough win for her. She's had 13 top 10s. Back to 3 under par goes Sung Kyun Park, so damaging her chances of getting back to world number 1, a position she held very briefly.
If you'd told me at the start of the day that 2 players inside the top 5 in the world would be birdie free and a combined 9 over par, I'm not sure that I would have taken you up on that one, Richard.
No, even if you knew it was going to be a pretty windy day. I mean, just to give you an idea how bizarre it is, Ariya Jutanugarn has had more birdies this year than any other player on the LPGA Tour, and she hasn't had a single birdie today.
That's what she's known for. Just not this Saturday.
Now, So-Yeon Yu, another of the would-be world number 1s this week. Excellent.
Just 1 over the card for her round. That's some good going. Usually it's the race to the CME Globe. I think we can quite safely say it's the race to the car park for most of these players today. Just try and salvage what you can.
Well, pretty good for the young Australian. We've got to So-Yeon Yu, world number 4, Minji Lee, the world number 11 in this pairing, and they're both going to be right up there despite issues they've had. Amy Yang's already laid up. She's in the rough right-hand side. He's got a chance of getting close from area. Maybe she's going to get that first birdie of the day.
She must have had a very good lie to have a crack at it.
He's got shorts on, that gentleman there, in sharp contrast to her.
And this woman on the right instead is going to Iceland later on today. So it's...
I mean, to be, it feels cold, but it's still, you know, for this part of the world, it's not what you call cold.
Well, it's more the elements than the temperature. I think that's what you're shielding yourself from.
Some great clouds as well. Some great sights. Look at the sun coming through there onto the Firth of Forth. It is a beautiful part of the world.
It looks moody out there at the moment.
Yeah, there's a bit of rain over there.
Hard to get this golf ball past the pin today. 163 yards, playing probably closer to 190 yards at the moment. And it's more of the same. Joe laid up to here. Bit of a better angle to come in from the left side. And she's going to have a look at a birdie putt. Nice birdie. Tiff Joe came back on the second hole. It's been a very different story since then.
In there, it's wispy because of the lack of rain overall the last couple of months.
At a very difficult angle. That's what she's been doing well, or was really doing well until the 15th, a 3-putt.
Yeah, this to set the clubhouse target. And Haiji Kang already in at 6 under par. Minjee Lee finished top 10 last year at Dundonald Links. Won not only on the LPGA Tour this year, she's also won on the Ladies European Tour as well. On the Vic Open, first event of the year on the Ladies European Tour calendar.
Yeah, won it for the second time as well, but the first since it was co-sanctioned.
This for a round of 71 for So Yeon Yu, and an excellent birdie to finish from the world number 4. That should be good enough for her to be in that final 3-ball tomorrow. And she's based in Dallas, isn't she? Pretty windy down where she practices in Texas. That's brilliant. Get in. It's in.
Oh, magnificent stuff. Still birdie free.
Yeah, but now she's gone into a share of the lead. What an eagle from Area Jatanagan. They'll be seeing that on their leaderboard in a moment. A rare moment of magic. Day of few cheers and joy for the players.
Well, she's been hanging in there. We've been hanging in there for something like that for a while, and what a delivery on 16.
So a really difficult afternoon it's been for Jen. That par finish for a round of 77 that now leaves her outside the top 30. But this was the moment that took Area Jatanagan to the top of the leaderboard, chipping in at 16 for an eagle 3. Worth the wait, eh? Alongside Amy Yang, who almost gets herself to 9 under.
We thought today might turn into a bit of a game of musical chairs, and it's looking like the final 2 groups tomorrow. It's going to be switching until the final putt is struck.
Yep.
Should be playing a little more right.
Well, I mean, listen, it's been a tough watch, an interesting one. But what it does mean is we're all shaped up for a terrific final round tomorrow. I mean, anyone's guess right now who's going to land this Ladies Scottish Open title.
Just a little bit quick to look up there, Tiff, than in previous days. She's been staying down well throughout her putting stroke.
She's left herself an awkward one here, hasn't she? Well, going the aerial route here at Sunkyun Park, and I have to say, pretty good, but here it goes. I mean, ordinarily that would be an excellent shot, but on this course, on this day, you have to question the methodology there.
I think that would have stayed there if the wind wasn't pushing it down that false slope.
It was well executed.
Beautifully executed, as was that par putt. So no harm, no foul for Tiffany Joe on 16. Amy Yang walks off with a par. Runs off with a par.
Those flags have been flying very proudly today, as you would in 30 miles an hour of gust.
It's been barely legible they've been moving that fast.
Okay, let's get you up to date with where we're at right now in this third round of the Ladies Scottish Open. Of course, coming towards the end of play, and you can see there's been a correction to one of the scores for So Yeon Yu. Unfortunately, not in a positive manner. It was a birdie finish, but for a round of 72 for the Korean. So she's still well placed. 6 under par though, not 7 under par, so she's alongside Haiji Kang, who finished on that mark as well. The clubhouse target is from Minjee Lee, 71 from the Australian, 1 behind our co-leaders. Arya Jitanagan chipping in at 16. She'd been birdie free until that moment. An eagle though, taking her to 8 under par and right alongside Amy Yang. Just a jump of 57 places today for Sarah Kemp with the round of the day, score of the day 67. Mina Haragai, Kari Webb and the group 3 under, 5 back. Remember these players at 3 under par, Georgia Hall and IK Kim. Charlie Hull 6 back. Mel Reid in at 1 under. Mo Martin, of course, former Women's British Open champion, also in that group at -1. Of course, a lot of the players like Kelsey McDonald, the leading Scot here this week, finished just as the leaders were going out. Got the better of the weather. It was still breezy this morning, but nowhere near like it is right now and has been for much of the afternoon.
When we heard Sandra Gale come in, she said that 11 was still reachable, and then by the time the final 2 or 3 groups got there, it was a definitive layup and a long way back at that into the par 5.
So our leaders have reached the 17th tee. Oh, that's tremendous.
So she nearly holed her shot on Thursday on this hole on 17. She hit it to about 8 feet yesterday. Some good vibes for Arya Jitanagan on the last par 3 of the golf course. That is easily the best shot we've seen there.
Sure. You could see what the wind's doing when that divot went up. Just blew off to the left-hand side.
Pin just in line with that TV tower in the back. It's hard to make out, just on its left edge. A lot of players drawing this in from the right. She's never won on the LPGA in all her 3 wins outside of Asia, Amy Yang. And that looked like it's turning over maybe a little bit too much. And that will have found that left pop bunker, most likely. Might be a bit of an awkward stance coming up too. So the momentum certainly with the Thai player. Arya Jitanagan at the moment. And let's have a look at the final hole here at Gullen Golf Club. You can see those bunkers over on the right-hand side. They're about 230, 240 off the tee. And then the second set, more likely in play today with the wind helping off the right-hand side. 285 to get into those. But if you can get past them, the rewards are big, as Carlotta found out around about an hour and a half ago, putting from that front edge in the hole location in the back right section today. So you really can go past the hole, maybe even use the backboard of those sponsor boards we've been seeing the players use.
Just off the back of a bogey at 17, Caroline Masson.
Managed to avoid all the divots. Pretty much a perfect position. All of the trouble on this hole comes from the tee shot. Very challenging. Seen a lot of players left in the rough. A couple in those 4 bunkers as well.
Nine over par today, Suo, unfortunately. Just been on the bogey train. And at least she's had a break there, avoided that bunker.
Needs to keep this right of the hole. Can't flirt with the left side because then that false front comes into play. That was pretty well done there from the Californian.
Tricky one this for Amy Young in more ways than one. Obviously you can see not much green really to work with downslope from the bunker, and look how she's got a stand hit. Well, I'm not sure how she's going to stand hit.
I think she'll end up doing that. Anytime you can get 2 feet down, it's always the better option.
Obviously, you just can't aim at the flag.
Not a chance. Just where you need to be okay playing uncomfortable golf. That was about all she could do from there. That bunker, 9 times out of 10.
Is that what you mean by uncomfortable golf? Sand in your face, or your ear, and don't worry, it's the 17th. You'll be able to get it out soon.
I mean, it was always a likelihood that ball went into the bunker with such velocity that it was going to be up against that back edge. The error from the tee and not much chance to recover with the second shot.
Not sure she's lost a turn. Still not long. She can put the kettle on, bit of birthday cake.
It's an interesting week from that regard because all of the players, usually they're quite clustered, you know, maybe in 1 or 2 hotels while they're on the road, but here on this coast everyone's scattered. Got people staying in farm stays, caravans, and a couple of host families as well, not to mention some of the nice little B&Bs in the area.
She's been in the lead, or a share of the lead, ever since it was given up by Tiffany Joe. that's no longer the case. That's third bogey of the back nine for Amy Yank. She'll go back to 7 under. Of course, Aria's got a chance to get to 9 under coming up. So there'll be much change even at the end of this round.
So we might be looking at a very different leaderboard by the time we get to the 18th tee. Standard May smile before she putts. That's an anchoring technique. You almost create the feeling you want it at the end of the putt. That looks good. Oh.
Still 3-3 the last 2 holes. And she does have the outright lead. Aria Jitanagarn, the world number 3, looking for win number 3 of the season.
Yeah, a little quick.
The US Open champion heads to the 54th hole with the outright lead.
I don't really see it much outside. It like I do see it a little outside.
Caddy Zach telling Tiffany where this one's going to come from.
Just a little right to left in this. This could be big, trying to keep some form of momentum going.
Yeah, 5 under, 3 off the lead. Get this done, day done with, and start again tomorrow.
Well, it's Italian night tonight in the household, and she did well with lasagna the other day before the 62.
You saying it's back on the menu?
I believe it might be. Not sure who's cooking it, but look at this on 18.
Sungin Park could do with a little pick-me-up as well before her day's done. Apparently this group's been on the clock. It's penultimate 3-ball, according to Steve Kavanagh, one of the tournament referees here. We had a ref, haven't we, watching the TV coverage all week, and Steve's been amongst it. Of course, that's something that regularly happens on the European Tour. But well, what a day it's been. Not all good. Been some magical moments, few and far between, but I suppose the most magical has come from our leader, Aria Jitanagarn.